to the SOULFIRE podcast, where healing is raw, truth is sacred, and your story gets to burn and rebuild in the same breath. I'm Power Coach Alishia, pattern breaker, soul mirror, fire starter, and the unapologetic voice of the burn it down and rise anyways revolution. We don't fluff your wounds, we don't filter your truth, and we don't water down healing so that people stay comfortable. You've spent way too damn long proving your worth to people who only love the version of you that stayed small, quiet, and convenient. If you've ever swallowed your truth to keep the peace, shrunk yourself to stay chosen, or disappeared in your life, this season isn't just a reset or another motivational podcast. This is where you reclaim your voice, your fire, and your fucking self. I'll give you the truth that heals, frameworks that hold, and soul codes that will change how you live, lead, love, and rise. Lovey, come forward. It's time for you to embody your wholeness. And I'm not only leading this season, I'm living it right beside you. Let's fucking go. This episode, man. I mean, we need to take a deep breath before we get into this, because obviously we are continuing our theme for the month of May of unlocking your divine assignment, where you're learning to let desire lead and let your soul choose. Today, we're talking about shrinking to be chosen and how to stop betraying yourself for belonging. How to stop betraying yourself so that you feel validated. How to stop betraying yourself so that you feel needed. How to stop betraying yourself so that you can feel worthy and worth it and earn it and prove it. And this is huge for me. So fucking huge for me. So I want to first dive into the betrayal inside the mask, because we learn really, really early that fitting in equals surviving. But somewhere along the way, fitting in became disappearing into people. I became who they needed just so that I could feel needed. Write that fucking down. I became who I needed just so I could feel needed. Okay? And here's the thing. That means that when you're in that energy, you're doing that because you're choosing proximity over presence and shrinking to avoid being rejected. Now, I did this a long time ago. This for me on, I've got to shrink myself and that proximity over presence and, doing this so that I'm not rejected. That ship sailed. I don't give a fuck, because I have this energetic principle that I live by, and that is if you don't choose me if you don't choose me when I show up as the whole me, I damn sure don't want you to choose me because I show up fake. I would rather choose the whole me and have you not choose me than if I edit myself and be fucking fake, then you're going to show up. When I built my original business, Rockstar Direct Sales, Rockstar Mompreneurs, back in the day as a business coach, which I didn't want to do or be at the time, which is nuts. But anyways, I've told that story so many times. And I've also shared this, is that I built it as an edited version of myself. So that edited version of myself, she didn't swear, she wasn't as bold, she wasn't in your face. And I did that because I knew that people would pay me because of my brilliance, and they wouldn't reject me because I swore and it fucking offended them, right? And so that's exactly why I did it. And I built a successful business. It was a $500,000 business, and then I burnt that bitch to the ground. And from the time that I burnt it all the way to the ground of 2018 to date of 2025, it's been a fucking nightmare to get that business to that level again for a multitude of reasons. One, because being a business coach was ended in 2018, but I would not allow it. That's that stubborn Taurus bull in me, right? I wouldn't allow it. It wasn't meant for me anymore. It had completed its cycle, but I hadn't accepted it yet. Right? So then I'm pushing, forcing, hustling, must do, should do, have do's for fucking, 6, almost 7 years. And it just isn't working at the level, isn't working at the level. And I think this is going to work. And I think that's going to work. And I hire this coach and I hire that coach and I do this and I do this and I build that and I build that. And I'm working all day long. And the results are never fucking there. The way that I feel inside and just the way that I show up. And it's not that I'm in a shitty mood or being rude. It's not that. It's just My soul was telling me the whole fucking time. The universe was showing me the whole fucking time. Like, this isn't your vehicle. This isn't your vessel. This isn't where you're going to get the result. While meanwhile, I'm being called over here. Yes, come on, come on, come on. And I'm like, okay, I'm dabbling. Okay, I will. And then I, give back into myself. And it's all part of the journey and the transformation. But it was like, I had believed that because I wasn't being that edited version of myself, I would never make the money that I once made because the world wanted me to be small. The world wanted me to shrink so that they felt comfortable in order for me to be that successful, all while being shown all around me, all these multi-billion-dollar people dropping fucking F-bombs everywhere they goddamn go. Even though I was being shown and proven that that was wrong, it was still like, yeah, but for me, that's true. That no longer exists. I do not give a fuck. I would rather be poor and broke and alone being the badass fucking queen that I am than have your ass around me because I made you feel comfortable. I am not the person that you have in your life because I make you feel comfortable, because I shrink myself. Now listen, I am warm as fuck and I am very, very, very loving, and I do make you feel comfortable because it's who the fuck I am. But I don't do that being a masked, edited version of myself because you're too weak within yourself to step the fuck into the power that you need to be the version of yourself for you that you need to claim your power in your journey. Those are two completely different things. If being loved requires you to perform, it's not love. It's emotional exile. And it is very, very, very fucking lonely because there's this huge illusion of belonging. And what happens is, to belong, a lot of times you'll betray yourself, not to be loved, but to avoid being abandoned. So listen, hear that. You'll betray yourself, not so that you're loved, but to avoid being abandoned. And what's stupid about that? And what sucks about that? And what's destructive about that? And I'm not saying you're stupid. I did this. This is why I could teach it to you. And what's just ridiculous is that you abandoned yourself to avoid being abandoned. And you ended up still feeling abandoned because you didn't show the fuck up for yourself in the first place. And there's this thought, right? Like, maybe you're thinking, I didn't know who I was, or I don't know who I am without their validation. And so that's what made you shapeshift into safety. But that's why you're fucking here. That's why season 4 is Love Me More. That's why we're here. That's why I'm doing the work. That's why I'm showing up. Okay? See, I never thought of myself as being a people pleaser. But when I look at it, it could be drilled down and overly simplified as people pleasing. What I did and how I lived was because I knew that's what I was born for. So regardless of being a business coach, I still saved people from themselves, right? Like, I did that. And it absolutely was a survival skill. However, it became my prison. And everything that I did was based around saving people from themselves, holding this shit. Hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? What the fuck are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. If you do that, this is going to happen. Like, you need to do this. You need to take that out. Why didn't you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, like, oh God, I thought we talked about all these things that aren't mine to hold. And I'm just like fucking amping up my nervous system and amping up my soul inside and fucking up my peace for shit that doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, if the men don't want to do what they need to do to fucking rise into this relationship and it's over, that's on them. And I'm going to find somebody who does. If the kids don't want to do this and do that so that they can have a good life and they don't end up in a fucking shitty place and on drugs and this and that, I can't save them from that. That's their job. It's their choice to choose themselves or fucking not. Sean doesn't want to work and to do what he needs to do, to get to the NFL and college and blah, 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 blah. I can't. That's not me. Like, if you don't want it anymore, then what do you want to do? Like, I'm here to support you on your journey, as long as supporting you does not look like I'm supporting your self-destruction, because I won't do that. That is a huge boundary for me. I'm not going to support your self-destruction, but I will support you through your journey of choosing yourself and growing into the person that you want to be, right? I'm totally down to do that. And if you don't take the advice and you don't do what I suggest and you don't do what you asked for, I don't have any attachment to that. And I'm learning every day to have less and less attachment to that, because for so long, my prison has been holding up all the walls that keep me trapped. And so now I'm like pushing them over and they're going, oh, fuck, I should pick that back. No, you shouldn't pick that back up. And the thing is, and I want you to lean in and hear this, if you have to disappear to be kept, it's not your assignment. It's your awakening. If you have to disappear to be kept, it's not your assignment. It's your awakening. It's the thing that says, hello, wake the fuck up. You've got to wake the fuck up. That is what that is saying. Okay? And that awakening is calling you. It's calling you in saying, hello, pay a fucking attention. You know, you need to see that you're not here because that is how people bring you in, because that's how you taught them to show up for you. And now it's time for you to wake the fuck up and do something different. Do everything different, really. And if what we've been talking about today is hitting you hard, right? Like it's just like, holy fuck, yes. If you're feeling the pulse and the call to rise, to realign, and to remember who the fuck you really are, your next step is simple, because I've created the frequency upgrade for exactly this. It's a personalized, channeled soul recalibration. Okay. It's not a coaching call, not another checklist, no bullshit that you have to do. It's a direct activation so that it can collapse your old patterns while amplifying your power and plugging you back into your divine assignment, what you're actually here for, how you're actually meant to feel along this journey, and the beauty of the experience of this lifetime. Nothing for you to schedule. You don't need to get permission or wait for permission. You just say yes. And then within days, your next evolution drops into your inbox, coded and created just for you. You're just one frequency shift away from everything your soul has already chose. So check out the link in the show notes because you already know. And now it's time for you to choose the frequency that your soul has been calling for. The thing about this is, it's like, especially women, I feel like men don't really give a fuck about this for the most part. I do think it happens on different levels, but for the most part, men don't care as much about this as women do. And it's like women want to be digestible. Women want to be not too much, right? And listen, you weren't born to be palatable. You were born to be whole. And if your wholeness is too much for someone else to chew, fuck them. There's like a billion people. Like, who gives a fuck if your wholeness is too much for one or two? And you know what I think is crazy is people think like, oh, I could never fall in love again. I'll never find anyone again. Nobody will ever want to be with me again. Listen, if it can happen once, it can happen again, regardless of they're your soulmate or your divine partner or your twin flame or like however the fuck you define them. If you have to make yourself digestible for them, then they're not fucking worth you, right? See, in my past, shrinking may earned me approval and a $500,000 business, but it cost me everything else within my soul. And my desire to save people and to live my purpose and to do what I was born for and to do what I was meant to do, it actually made me abandon what made me the most powerful. Oh, you're going to hear ding, my computer is going to die, so I got to plug it in. Oh my God, and then I keep ripping it out. You know what actually happened? Let me just tell you. Let me tell you what happened to this fucking podcast episode. What happened in this podcast episode is because I was actually recording it and fucking slaying it and doing so great. And then my kid decided to have a jam session underneath me. I literally had to move everything into my room. My lotus room is what I call it, because Daniel painted a gigantic lotus on the wall. It's where I do my nails. It's where the piggy pie sleeps. I have like a whole place in here that I am doing my best to grow fucking bulbs. Just praying in the next few weeks that they pop through. I don't even know if I did this right. I planted it in planters that had shit in it last year. I don't know if I'm going to get like random pansies or things like that. I have no idea what's going to come out of here. I mean, they're supposed to be caladium bulbs, but we shall see. So in the middle of recording this episode, I had to like move and like get my heater back on because I'm always fucking cold. This is just a nightmare. Anyways, so I hope you're loving this. Like, I realize my power lies in my softness and my fire, you know? I used to always lead with just fire, 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 throw down fire, throw down fire, throw down fire. And the challenge with always throwing down fire is you fucking burn and eviscerate everything around you, whether or not you meant to. It's like you're constantly burning shit up because you don't realize that there's a different way. You don't realize that you could do something different in order to not do that. So you're burning shit up because you don't know any better. You're burning shit up because it's the only way you know how to survive, or the only way you know how to live, or the only way you know how to, quote unquote, make it through. But then you wonder why you're so hot. You wonder why you're, turned to ash. You wonder why this doesn't feel good. You're like, what in the hell is going on? Well, you are burning everything down everywhere you go. And by burning everything down everywhere you go, it fucks everything up for you. All right. And it destroys your fucking soul. Regardless of what anybody says, it destroys your soul because you abandoned what made you powerful. And I did that my whole life. I thought what made me powerful was that I could save people. But what makes me powerful is that I know how to teach people how to save themselves. That's the power. It's like, think about this. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Guys, this is a fucking shit show. I'm not even going to cut this out of the podcast because literally right now I am lighting an incense and it falls off the fucking thing and hits the ground and it's lit, not like on fire, but doing its incensey thing, but it kind of started a fire. It's been, oh my God, I don't even know. I'm walking around. I don't even know if you can hear me. Hopefully you could hear all that, whatever. I'm not cutting it out. I don't like editing podcast episodes. Truly, I don't. Because I am about real life, real shit, real raw. And I think highly edited podcast episodes are fucking stupid. I do. I think, what is the point in doing a podcast if you have to add so much quote unquote edit cuts and flares in it in order to have that? Like, why not just allow people to see and feel you as you really are? Now I'll put, okay, you want to edit in music, you want to cut out, edit in commercial, but like the ums or like the disasters or the bloopers, like I don't need my whole episode to be perfect in order for throw down my message. So keep that in mind. I do very minimal editing in my podcast. I will only edit like a podcast like fully if I say the wrong things and I don't want that message to be received and I want you to receive the actual message, then I will edit it out. Yeah. So I want you to know that the real you is not too much. She's just been hidden under too many yeses that weren't yours. The real you is not too much. She's just been hidden under too many yeses that weren't yours, meaning too many yeses that you should have never given because your soul said no. Shrinking does not protect love. It destroys it from the inside. So stop saying yes to what drains you. Tell yourself the truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable, and ground in what you need, not what they expect. And what's very, very, very important here is that you name the cost of constantly choosing others first. What is the cost of constantly choosing others first? And then build new boundaries from respect, not reactivity. Because when you choose yourself first, you stop being a mirror for someone else's insecurities and you start being the home for your truth. Also, when you choose yourself first, you start leading people to the water so that they can drink instead of filling up the pail and chasing them all around. And by the time you get to them with it, there ain't no fucking water left, right? So choose yourself first so you can stop being a mirror for someone else's insecurities and start being a home for your own truth. And so that you can lead them to where they're meant to be instead of fucking carrying them on their back or going and getting whatever it is and taking it to them. So here's your sacred no ritual. Ask yourself, what have I been saying yes to just to avoid being left? What version of me do I water down to stay safe? And where does my real voice live? What does she want to say? What have I been saying yes to avoid being left? What version of me do I water down to stay safe? And where does my real voice live? And what does she want to say? Because if you're ready to stop surviving your life and start choosing it, then your frequency upgrade is waiting. So remember to check out that link in the show notes and declare this truth. I release the version of me that had to shrink to be safe. I release the version of me that had to shrink to be safe. I release the version of me that had to shrink to be safe. Embody this. Choose yourself so completely that nobody gets to question your worth again. Extend to your soul the same mercy you once gave away to people who fucking dropped it. And stop shrinking to be chosen by people who can't even hold you. You're not a placeholder, you're the fucking revolution. So show up, speak up, and burn the damn box. I'm Power Coach Alishia, and this is your invitation to rise.